Have you ever seen one of those games often found at fairgrounds where you put a coin in the top and it goes round and round and round, getting increasingly smaller circles until it's spinning out of control and then falls into the bottom? It's very similar to how negative thoughts can then lead to stress. A thought circles around, but then it gets faster and faster until ultimately it is out of control. And the way that we tend to deal with this therapeutically is a really fantastic technique called compartmentalisation, which is a word I often struggle with, so bear with me. Think about your life being a lot like a train, but an old-fashioned Victorian train where there's carriages and there's buffers and there's gaps in between. And the way to use this compartmentalisation technique is, if something goes wrong in one carriage, to leave it in the carriage and not then transfer it into another carriage. So if, for example, you have a really bad, stressful day at work, leave that stress in the work carriage so that when you jump into the home carriage, it's safe in there and it gives yourself a break from those thoughts, those feelings, that stress. And then quite often when you go back into the work carriage, because you haven't been poking that stress, it's actually died down. But even if it is still a fire that's raging, you have more energy to then put that fire out. So the tip for today is to think about stress being a lot like being on a train, but rather than it being an intercity 125 where a fire at one end can spread through the whole train very, very quickly, compartmentalise it. Keep the stress in the place that it lives. And then when you leave that place, leave the stress behind, go into a place where there is greater calm, rejuvenate, realign yourself, get back in control. And then when you go back into that old compartment, you'll be able to deal with the stress better. Have fun with this one.